Hey there, thanks for tuning in. This is the Tammy Tine Design YouTube channel. I'm Tammy, and today I've got a new layout share for you. In this stack, I have some of the layouts I've created over the last few months. There are 15 here. Most have process videos, but some do not. I'll let you know which ones don't when we get to them. Let me move these aside and we can get started. The first layout is Wilderness Lodge. Ugh, seeing these basic gray papers make me so happy. Anyone else with me? Who still has a stash of basic gray? If you do, no worries. This layout is the perfect example of something I often remind myself of. If you like the paper, don't worry if you haven't used it yet. Eventually, you'll have photos that are perfect. There's no process video for this one. I wasn't having any luck picking new supplies, so I took my basic gray file off the shelf, and these papers were perfect for these photos. I also still had some basic gray letter stickers that matched. We stayed at the Wilderness Lodge in January for my birthday. The hotel is spectacular, and I was really drawn to these totem poles in the lobby. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in Spokane, Washington, so everything about this hotel felt like home to me. I wanted to do something special with these lobby photos. I didn't have any basic gray specific embellishments, so I had to go into my stash. I ended up using my Noteworthy printable. That's where I got the coordinated labels and word blocks, this icon tag, the phrase tags at the top. This is one of the free printables I have in my shop. If you ever want to check it out, you can download it for free. I also took a few different sized circle punches to the pattern papers and I created my own cluster bases. For the background design, I tore triangle shapes pointing into the center of the page and layered the photos on top. I added some enamel dots and some ink splatters to finish it off. I love our life. This page just makes my heart happy. I used Coco Vanilla Studios Storyteller Collection for this layout. My husband and I both say this phrase to each other. We've been married for 2 years now. We just celebrated our anniversary, and it was kind of a journey to find each other. Somehow, though, together we've managed to build this life that we love and can be proud of. And I really wanted this page to express that sentiment. I love pages with large outline die cuts like this, but they can be kind of a challenge to back if you have to fussy cut everything. That's why I provide the backer as one single file, and I also provide the letters individually with all of my outline files. I want it to be easy for me, so I pass that on and hope that everyone else who purchases this file finds it easy too. Seriously, the silhouette was one of the best tools I've ever purchased. I know that it's a big investment, but it's so worth it. And that goes for the Cricut and the Brother Scan and Cut too. Whatever option is right for you, an electronic die cut machine can really take your layouts to a whole new level. I didn't need to add much embellishment. There are 3 small clusters here with some die cuts made for this collection. Behind the photo, I used some Tim Holtz Lost Shadow Oxide ink over a stencil to get that hint of a frame. I didn't want to cover up the letters too much, so just a few die cuts, some hearts from the puffy sheet. I really liked the idea of using this bold striped paper down the sides and then distress the edges, almost as though you tore the paper down the center and revealed this fun surprise underneath. The thing I love about large cut files like this is the design work is mostly done for you. There's so much color in these pattern papers that I didn't need to add much else. I did add a little brushed pewter ink splatters to finish off the page. Everyone should have fireworks on their birthday. When we stayed at the Wilderness Lodge, we had a fireworks view room, so I got to have a fireworks show on my birthday, which was really cool. It was one of the highlights of the trip, actually. Oh, no, it looks like I lost an H somewhere. I do try to add wet glue to all of my letter stickers on my layouts for this exact reason. The adhesives, especially on these smaller letters, just don't always stick. Before I started adding extra adhesive, I would often find letters in the bottom of my page protectors. I really hope there's another H in that sticker pack. Anyway, I wanted to do something special on this layout, so I added a shaker pocket. I wanted to bring in some more silver because the title has silver in it. I added some stars with metallic, and I used brushed pewter ink splatters in the background. The shaker pocket was really easy to make. I do have a process video for this one, so look for that on my channel. I used the Simple Stories Say Cheese at the Park collection for the papers and the stickers. And I also created my own mini essentials kit with word blocks and icon tags and labels to work with any theme park type collection. It's called Magic. The mini essentials printables are so convenient, so check that out if you are a print and cut lover like I am and want to make your own embellishments. I added 3 word blocks in a visual triangle around the page at all of the key points near the journaling, above the title, and above one of the photos. I clustered all of the photos in the center of the page, and then I added this cute Mickey sticker from the sticker sheet. I used a band of pattern paper down the page. I do this a lot on my pages. It's great for an anchor, and it's a great way to show off awesome pattern papers. And then I built the rest of the design across the page. I think the paper with that blue background really complements the blue in the photos. And I didn't have the best photos to work with, so that was lucky for me. And that's what really made this page. He's not impressed. The next few pages feature our animals. I am a cat mom. So this page, yeah, I really struggled with this one. I had this great idea to scrap lift myself and picked out a page I really liked. By the way, scrap lifting is a great way to shortcut the design process if you're ever short on time and want to create a layout quickly. I love scrap lifting my own layouts. But what I failed to do here was measure how large the photos on my original layout were. I printed these photos at 4 by 4, but my photos on the layout were 3 by 3. Of course, it really messed me up. So if you ever want to watch a video that shows how to dig yourself out of a design hole, watch the process video for this layout. I quickly figured out that my problem was the photo size, so I abandoned the scrap lift and decided to just wing it on camera. There are still many of the same features on my original layout here, and I'm happy with how this turned out. I wasn't able to trim my photos down to the 3 by 3, so I just went with it. I like this background with the 3 layers of pattern papers. This layout was really all about the photos and the journaling, so I didn't want to add too many embellishments. These photos were taken a few days after we brought our kitten Harley home to meet our other cat, Mr. Jinx. At the time, he just was not enjoying all of her kitten antics. I did add that banner at the very end. It wasn't my original intention, but I think it was the perfect finishing touch for this page. I also added a black cardstock background to get that thin black mat around my layout. Life with cats. I created this page over National Scrapbooking Weekend. There is no process video for this one. It was the only layout I completed. I tried to clear the calendar every year to participate in all the events, but it just didn't work this year. I did create this page using a sketch by Allison Davis and Scrapbook Generation. These 4 blocks of pattern paper make up the design. I put this one on black cardstock and then added a blue mat to bring in more blue. For the embellishments, I added some flowers from a Paige Evans ephemera pack. I created a tag behind the photos for my journaling. I added that cute rainbow die cut and some Tim Holtz velvet ribbon on a large paper clip. I also stacked some wood veneer pieces. I put a heart on top of a pinwheel type flower. I wanted to bring in more of that craft color from the cat paper, and I found this thicker set in a craft color. And of course, I had to dig out that Bow Bunny thicker set in all of the fun cat prints. Because I used a sketch, this layout didn't take a lot of time to create. I was able to complete this layout pretty quickly. The last thing I did was add the 2 cat stickers at the top, kind of peeking out. The journaling is all about how I had to get used to walking into my scrap space and finding a cat sleeping somewhere, and to having company while I was creating. I used a set of papers that I feature in my Picking Pattern Papers workshop. That's a workshop I give all of my email subscribers access to, so check that out if you're interested. Family photo attempt. I think this is the last cat layout. I created this one in July. I personally enjoy interrupting my summer creating to get all of the Christmas papers out. I'll scrapbook anything, anytime. I don't scrapbook chronologically, so if Christmas photos inspire me in July, I just go with it. These pretty poinsettia flowers are available as a cut file in my shop. I created my own backing using the offset feature in the Silhouette software, and then I used some Tim Holtz mica stain spray to add the color. I have 3 photos centered on this page, and then I have all of the fun strips in the background randomly placed. A couple of the strips have threads dangling from hand stitching, and I used a distressing tool to get the edges on all of the strips. All of my flower die cuts are up on foam tape to add some dimension. Then the photos are front and center. I added a title on a strip of paper that I cut out of the background. When it works like this with the subtle pattern paper, I like to bring whatever paper I used in the background onto the layout. My title needed to be on something because the letters would have gotten lost on all of these patterns. In July, I did make a point to scrapbook some of our 2022 Christmas. I haven't created a documented December album for many years. I have several, I love them, but I tend now to just scrapbook our holiday photos in my 12 by 12 albums. So it felt good to get some of these stories documented ahead of the holiday season coming up. Christmas cocktails. Here's another layout I scrapbooked in July. This one does not have a process video. I used my poinsettia border die cuts on this layout. I usually make 4 different variations when I make a die cut. I cut my border into pieces and you'll see it on 3 different spots. And I did the same thing by creating a backer using the offset feature in the Silhouette software. For this one, I did the reverse. I added color with some Tim Holtz mica spray stain to the die cuts and left the backer alone. And I used more basic gray papers. I took 2 scraps and tore them down the center and stacked them on the top and bottom to provide a frame. The paper in the background is Simple Stories. All of the holiday beverage glasses were the perfect background for my photos. In December, several bars in our town got together and had a cocktail tour with a punch card, encouraging everyone to visit all the locations. We loved it. It gave us an excuse to walk around downtown and to see all the decorations. The layers on the bottom gave me a place to tuck in some embellishments. I used American Crafts Precision cardstock and vanilla to back my die cuts because I wanted to bring in more of that same color from the holiday flashcards I tucked in to the layers at the bottom. This was a fun page and I loved using non-traditional Christmas colors. We love Buc-ee's. There's a Buc-ee's about a half hour from us. We go up there a couple of times a year. When you walk in, you expect a typical convenience store, but it's a whole experience unto itself. This page is all about the grand opening of the Buc-ee's in Daytona. I used the Echo Park Summer Collection. I wanted to add in some bright colors that included the red and yellow Buc-ee's colors. Then I went through some of my summer collections to find some stickers to go with this page. I've got a soda bottle, a bottle cap, a jam jar, and a shopping cart to help convey that theme. I also added some inking on my background because I wanted to bring in more yellow from the Buc-ee's logo. I didn't have any stencils in the size or shape I needed, so I created a fun flower myself and cut it with my electronic die cut machine. I cut it out twice, glued one shape on top of the other, and then I inked over the top with Butter Bar from Hero Arts. This particular flower was a free download that I gave away to my email subscribers. I love doing mixed media pages like this with colorful papers on the outside and everything clustered in the middle on white cardstock with some sort of technique. I also handwrote the journaling on the background. I usually type it up, but sometimes it's just faster to write it out. Be silly, be weird. Here's another layout of me and my friend Jamie. It's always good to have someone in your life that you can be silly and weird with, right? There's no process video for this one. I had these fun photos from a concert in the park, and the colors perfectly coordinated with the Daydream collection from Coco Vanilla Studios. All of the papers on my layout are from that collection, and I mounted everything on white cardstock. All of the edges are inked with brushed corduroy oxide ink from Tim Holtz. I did use my favorite new journal writing technique of printing on vellum Avery shipping labels. The vellum is see-through, so whatever is underneath will show through. It's great over subtle pattern papers, but it works great on cardstock like I'm showing here. I loved all of the pattern papers in this collection and just kind of stacked them all on top of each other. Very Chamel style from back in the day. But I was kind of struggling with the design until I tilted the block of pattern papers. They were straight up and down and it wasn't working. But at the angle, with the fun photos at the angle, suddenly it all just came together. This design gives you plenty of room for journaling and a big title. You could slide the journaling up if you needed more room. I took advantage of all the paper layers to insert some flowers from the ephemera pack. I think Cocoa Vanilla Studios has my favorite flower ephemera. I just love that they give you a variety of sizes and all of the colors, and you also get some greenery that's fun to tuck in. I tucked these flowers into each paper layer to get this fun stacked look. I finished off the page with a few random sequins, and I was so happy to add that corduroy heart. The fabric adds a different texture, and it's just so cute. Date night. This was a fun layout to do. I loved these pictures of us on a proper date night when we were engaged and planning our wedding. I used some Maggie Holmes floral paper here, and the background is from Jen Hadfield. I did use the same stacked blocks of paper in a column down the page. Running the papers and the photos in a column then allowed me to fill out the middle of the page with all of my die cuts. I knew that I wanted to create a die cut collection for this page and wanted something different. One of the things that is special about my relationship with my husband is that no matter what happened to each of us before we met, somehow all of the pieces of our hearts have come back together. And I wanted to convey that message somehow with die cuts, and this is what I came up with. I call this collection Mixed Hearts. The cut file comes with all of these slices in each heart. And what I did was cut each one of the hearts several times in white cardstock, and then I inked them before I took them off the cutting mat. Because each one is already cut into all the pieces, it was so much easier that way. You can also cut these with different cardstock colors and do the same thing. Once my ink dried, I took all of the pieces off and mixed them up to get these fun combinations. And I love how this looks. Then I went through my stash to see if I could find something fun to add to the heart clusters. And I settled on this swirl shape that brings in dark green from the floral paper. That dark green also brought in a lot of contrast against all of the pastel color hearts, and it's different and unexpected. To finish off the page, I sprinkled some enamel dots and then I added white ink splatters and some dark green splatters from one of the seasonal mica stains from Tim Holtz. Honeymoon mode on. The next 4 layouts all have process videos. I made all of these in September, so I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. The entire series is up on my channel if you want to watch how this whole thing came together. This is a simplified design on white cardstock. There's only one pattern paper block, the photo mat adding in some contrasting color, and a few small embellishments. One of my favorite techniques for adding a subtle touch is to put white die cut files on top of white cardstock. It's subdued and in the background, but it's a really nice touch. And that's what I have here with some diamond shapes. The photo is front and center with the title and the journaling underneath. A great, simple design that can help you create pages quickly when you're short on time. Dinner and Lulu's. This entire page was inspired by the chocolate peanut butter pie photo. I wanted to add something with a pie, but I didn't want it to be a large die cut or a sticker. So I came up with the idea of doing shaker pockets in my background. I found an Etsy seller that offers tiny clay slices. She had chocolate hearts and pie slices, and the rest of the shaker filler came from my stash. The background cut file is my design. I needed something with open spots that I could make shaker pockets behind, and this worked perfectly. I added color with the strips of pattern paper to the left. For some extra detail, I added some hand-stitched lines to each strip. The labels and word blocks come from my Honeymoon Mini Essentials printable. I added my title to the photo mat. I had to offset it a bit from the photos, but that gave me the space I needed underneath. And yes, I still have some Studio Calico wood veneer hearts, but my collection is finally starting to dwindle. Happy hour dinner. Here's a layout with a mixed media background. The pattern papers I was using didn't have the richer amber colors, so I added that color with some distress inks to the background, and then I inked over a clustered cut file. I printed my journaling and added it to the tag behind the photo. I used a photo mat to make the pocket behind the photos to tuck the journaling tag into. I used word blocks from my Honeymoon printable here, along with an icon tag and a word tag that says on the menu. I really like how the blue mat in the background contrasts with the rest of the layout. It added a different pop of color that allows all of the amber to show up. That outer frame also helps focus the eye on the center of the page where all of the detail is. This page documents the dinner we had before our ghost tour started in Savannah. This is the only two-page layout I did for this set. I did make an attempt to create more two-page layouts this year, and I did. I just don't often have big groups of photos. So if you love double-page spreads, this one is for you. When I have a lot of photos like this on a layout, I try not to add too much in the way of embellishment or pattern paper. There's enough going on in all of the photos, and I don't like to distract from them too much. I do like to find a way to bridge both sides of the layout with some pattern paper, so this one has the green polka dot bridging both sides. I did create a border cut file for this layout and used more mica spray stains to add color to coordinate with my photos. This was the last layout I created for the batch series, and I did try to incorporate some of my scraps. I made some blocks for the journaling and added a photo mat to one of the photos. One of the things I like about this particular two-page design is how easy it would be to take either side, the left or the right, and create single-page layouts. The way the photos are configured works great for a double-page layout, but each side would also work great by itself. Hello, fall. I created this one the other day. There is no process video for this layout. I just released my Fall Essentials collection. The Essentials collections have full sheets of word blocks, a full sheet of tags with phrases and icons. There are pocket cards and three sheets of labels, all in coordinating colors. I used one of my pocket cards here. I don't use them a lot on my 12 by 12 pages anymore, but this one was the best way to add the journaling. I thought I would mention that I don't create my printables with any paper collections in mind. I just use colors that I think are good for the season. And it just so happens that most of the colors in this collection worked perfectly with Echo Park's Fall Fever collection. I did pull a few papers from my scrap drawers, so not all of these papers are from Echo Park. I haven't created a layout with circles in a long time. The photo I used was taken on a city street, and most of the photo wasn't needed, so cutting it into a circle worked great. Then I attached it with some foam tape to give it some dimension. I thought it would be fun to have all of the patterns kind of falling into the layout, and each circle gave me a great foundation for all of the word blocks. The leaves are painted wood veneer pieces that came from Hobby Lobby. And the other die cuts and the title came from a Simple Stories ephemera pack. I did want to create more color to add to the circles, so I tore a piece of this gorgeous plaid paper and added a floral underneath. To finish off the layout, I added some hand-stitched lines and some enamel dots. And that's the last layout for this share. I hope my layouts provided you with some inspiration. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.